Hi, I'm Rosanna from Moara Crochet, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about my new cottage garden blanket. So let's get started. So as I said, today I'm going to be talking with you all about my latest design, which is the Crochet Cottage Garden blanket. And I can't get this all in the video today. But what I'm going to be doing is talking to you all about the idea, the construction, the materials, the level, everything you need to know about this pattern for you to decide if you would like to create your own crochet garden blanket. So first of all, I'm going to start with the design. Now, this design came to me last January in 2023, and I was sat with my daughter in the garden looking at our house and picturing our future garden, because we live in Brazil, but I want to bring a bit of England to our home. And we're quite lucky in the fact that we have the little penny windows in our house, and I think they're called penny windows, but my mom said they're actually called postage stamp windows. So if you know, can you put a comment down below? And I had this idea of seeing the garden as I envisage it in the future. It's going to take me a few years to get there, but this idea of seeing my flower garden through my window. And that day, me and my daughter were painting. And you know when you just get an idea and you just need to sit down and get it out. There's nothing else can distract you. You've got the idea. So I sat with my daughter and we talked it through, and we had our paints out, and I started to paint my idea. And this was the original painting. If I can get that a bit more in detail. So this was my original idea. And it had only spring flowers in here, and these were all the spring flowers that I remember from cottage gardens. And the idea was to create a granny square per granny square of this design, but a blanket like no other. It's not going to be the same granny square every single one. It's going to be a picture. It's going to be a vista of a garden through these little granny square snapshots. So this was the original idea, and I have got hydrangeas in here, peonies, violets, daffodils, daisies, hollyhocks, and bellflowers. I think I'm missing one there, and roses, of course. And these were all the flowers that I wanted to create. Now, from idea to actually creating took me over a year. I needed the headspace to create. But this year, I decided this is going to be the year that I'm going to create it. And I started working on creating 10 granny squares a day. And at the end of it, I finished my design. And I made some modifications from the original design. And this is the new design. So what will happen in your pattern, you will have a copy of this design, and it will show you all the squares of the cottage garden blanket. So that was the original inspiration. This is what happened. It took me a year to design. I'm so pleased with how it's turned out. So now what I'm going to do is talk you through the materials. This is not a quick project. This is going to be a labor of love. It's going to be something you take slow. You don't rush it. You take your time and you will create an heirloom crochet blanket. What does that mean? This is the idea in which you create a blanket which is meant to last more than one season, more than 1 year, more than 1 decade. It's something you create which you can pass on to the next generation. And that was the idea for me with this quilt, is that I wanted to create something so different and full of love, full of care, full of details, that when I'm not here, my daughter will have this blanket and she'll still remember me. And maybe it will get passed on to another generation, or maybe a friend. And that was the whole concept of me creating, is to create to last. So this is not a quick project. It can be a project which you can do over a year, or do over 6 months. Do one granny square a day. But don't rush it. Enjoy the process. As this is not a quick project, this is a project which takes a lot of yarn. Now, the yarn doesn't all need to be bought at once, so don't panic. Okay, let me give you some information. So the main blanket size, this blanket overall is 1.60 meters by 1.30 meters. And it falls beautifully over a double bed. Now this isn't going to cover a whole bed, it's going to drape over the end. And when you use it, you can turn it, or you can wear it as a cover, or put it on a sofa. It is a big, substantial blanket. Okay, so it is a big piece. Therefore, it's going to use a lot of yarn. Now don't worry. The main color yarn is whatever you choose it to be. For me, I chose a crew color, a natural cream, because that is what I felt I wanted. And I have used Amigurumi's Amigurumi yarn by Circular, and I have used 5,000 meters of this yarn. I think all in all, I used 17 or 18 balls of this yarn. So this is going to be your biggest investment, is going to be the main color yarn. And this is something I would buy in bulk, because you would like all your yarn to be of the same lot. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Because actually when I created this blanket, I bought 12 balls of yarn, and then I ran out. But because I didn't make the blanket in rows, I did a flower here, a flower there. When I actually constructed the blanket together, you couldn't tell of those really, really slight different tones of cream. So don't panic. You don't have to buy it all at once. If you can, it's good. If you can't, buy one here, buy one there. Do it as you go along. Believe me, when it all comes together, it will all look beautiful. So the main color is 5,000 meters. And there are a lot of other colors involved in this blanket. So I've got blues, I've got greens, there's pinks, there's purples, there's white, there's yellow. But these are all brilliant ways to use up those scrap pieces of yarn that you have. And within the pattern, I will tell you exactly how much you need of every single color of yarn. So you don't need to buy everything at once. You can get it bit by bit, and then check what you have in scrap, or alter the colors. Use what you have. And that was the whole point of this blanket, was that you could use little bits of what you have to create all the different colors. So overall, there are 3 different types of greens, 2 yellows, 1 peach, 2 pinks, 3 blues, and 1 lilac. But like I said, these are all versatile. You can change the colors. You can use what you have. It doesn't have to be exactly like the pattern. This whole blanket is made with a 3mm crochet hook, which is a size D in the US. So the whole blanket, all the flowers, all the motifs are all created with the same crochet hook. You don't need any other materials. So that is, your crochet hook is a 3mm. The only other materials, tools you will need will obviously be your scissors your tapestry needle, and a stitch marker. That is everything you will need. Now, about the pattern. This pattern is not made for beginner. I am a crochet designer who aims to fill the in-between levels between beginner to intermediate and advanced. Therefore, this will use many crochet techniques which maybe you haven't used. Maybe they're going to be new to you. So you will need crochet experience to create this blanket. Okay, there are more advanced crochet techniques used in here, such as treble crochet, double treble crochet, front post double crochet. All these stitches are used, and there is another point of this blanket is I'm trying to push you to create something amazing, unique, and something which will add more crochet skills to your belt. Now don't worry, I have made a whole list of every single stitch which is used in this blanket, and not only that, I have added links where I will show you a video tutorial of how to create those stitches. So if you're a little bit worried, oh, I don't know how to do front post double crochet, maybe this is a bit too more advanced for me, don't worry, I have instructions within the pattern, and I also have YouTube demonstration videos for you. This pattern is huge. It is like a book, and to break it up for you, I have created virtually a book, but I have created contents for you in that you can choose, this day I'm going to make the daffodils patterns, and there is a page just for daffodil. Or today I'm going to make the lavender. Okay, so the pattern is separated into lots of little chapters for you to create whatever granny squares you want in whatever order you want. So don't be overwhelmed by this pattern because it's so big, there's 180 squares, but I break it down to you all into little crochet bite-sized pieces so you can create your own blanket at your speed, at your time, for your skill. So the overall pattern is 39 pages, but those are all broken up into little chapters for you. The chapters of this pattern will have the contents, followed by all the stitches, how to construct each granny square, then how to construct the whole blanket as a whole, and then finally how to add the trim. So it is separated into sections for you. One huge piece of advice I'm going to give you is weave in your ends as you go. Don't leave it till the end. Believe me, you'll be crying. So each time you finish granny square, just weave in your ends. It terrifies me when I see other people who are create these beautiful crochet pieces, and then they turn it around and there's like 1,000 threads to weave in. Do it as you go along, save yourself the hassle. It takes 1 minute just to weave in your ends. So that is my golden piece of advice for you if you're going to tackle this blanket. Now some of the flowers will be created within the granny square. An example of this is the daisy. As you can see, that is a whole part of the granny square. And then others I have created in which they are motifs which are added on to a base crochet granny square. And the example of that, quite a nice example of that actually, is these bellflowers. And the reason I did this is because I wanted to create a blanket which was 3D, had these flowers which popped out and gave that variation of texture compared to the flowers which are part of a granny square. So there are two types of creating the granny square. Is one within the flowers created within it, and one where there's motifs. And most of the leaves are created as motifs and connected to a flower stem, with the exception of the daffodils which are created as part of the granny square. So there are lots of techniques which are involved in this within a granny square and also with adding motifs. Now once you've created your granny squares, you don't need to create them all at once. You can create a bit at a time. You can do a line, whichever way you want. They are connected single crochet join, in which you line up 2 granny squares and you will single crochet them together, and this creates this 3D line across the granny square. So that is how it would be joined. The final step you would do is to add the lace border, and this is just a simple lace border which I've added to the edge with a few little peacocks. Nothing too fussy because I didn't want to take the attention away from the blanket and all the details, so there is just a simple trim at the end. Now I think I have now covered all the information about this blanket. This blanket will now be available on all my platforms, which includes Ravelry, Etsy, and also my website. I'm going to put links down below for you. And I am going to do this whole blanket pattern for $9.99 for the whole collection. So if you would be interested in joining me and creating your own crochet blanket, I will be so flattered that you want to create this design, and I can't wait to see these blankets popping up all over the world and seeing how you interpret this design and created your own. And like I always say, if you have any questions, you can always send me an email to info@moaracrochet.com, or you can pop a question here on YouTube and I will do my best to answer you. So I hope you enjoyed this blanket. I hope you enjoyed the design, and I'm going to love you and leave you now, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.